What is up, guys? Eric here from Racing Ram Fam, and today we're back working on the 2008 Dodge Magnum, aka the baby hauler. If you guys saw in my last two videos, you saw this rod knocking 3.5 liter V6 that we have out of the car. You saw the oil filter, tons of metal shavings, and then you saw us actually drop this motor transmission, or you saw me drop this motor transmission, front steering assembly, transfer case, and just pretty much the whole powertrain of this car. Today, Mr. Fluff-a-Luff is here.
Hey.
And we're gonna get this motor off the transmission and everything else, put onto an engine stand over there, and start disassembling this motor. Alright guys, so we got the harness off of it, we got the starter out, torque converter bolts, and right now we're actually pulling the motor and trans off of the K-frame due to some bolts underneath that we can't get to with it on the pallet jack. Fluffy's taking off the other side motor mount bolt, and then we'll be able to hoist this whole thing out and pull it forward a little bit more. I gotta move my rim pile away. And yeah, so that's what we're doing right now. And then we'll get the tranny off of it. Then we'll get the motor onto the engine stand, and we'll start actually tearing apart the big old 3.5. But it's been pretty simple. I really like doing it this way, because then you can get to everything really simply.
Holy shit.
Holy shoot.
Holy shoot. Alright, we should be good now. Watch your toes. I'm back here, I'm good.
How many straps do we use? 1, 2, 3, 4 straps. You know, one chain would have fixed all of this.
Where? How far back?
Motor separated from transmission, the K-frame. Yeah, K-frame transmission, the motor's right here on the engine stand. Yeah, one really weird thing is the front axle actually goes through the oil pan, which is really weird.
I've never seen that before.
It's kind of cool. But other than that, we got the motor onto the engine stand, of course, and it's leaking oil because there's no drain plug in it. So now we're going to actually start disassembling this motor, starting with the front covers, oil pan, timing belt, get cylinder heads off, and then start pulling rods, pistons, crankshaft, and all that other good stuff, and all the other stuff that's attached to it. Yeah, so now we're just going to get started working on this engine and get her down to a bare short block and figure out what's actually making our knocking noise that was so horrific and fix it. See what we need to get. And then hopefully tonight we can get parts ordered for it and actually start cleaning the block and getting it prepped and ready to start putting it back together and fixing it. So you guys can see the timing belt in this thing. So we'll put a new one of those in because those are due about every 100,000 miles. This has 132 in it, and this actually looks like it was just replaced because that water pump looks brand new. So water pump, tensioner, crank pulley, left cam pulley, right cam pulley. And yeah, this actually looks this looks brand new. Someone actually paid to put a timing belt in this. Probably 30,000 miles ago. So I'll still put one in because we're here and I really don't want to have a failure in the future. But we'll hold on to this guy for backup. So we'll get this tensioner off, we'll get the belts out, and we'll start taking the oil pan off and cylinder heads and pistons and rods and all that other good stuff. So we're doing pretty good. The harmonic balancer fought us a little bit because we didn't have the correct puller. We just used a 3-jaw puller and screwdrivers to keep it from moving. So that was really sketchy and ghetto, but it worked. It's off. Right?
Yeah.
Had a coolant leak at one point.
Whoa.
Hey, don't trip over that.
Tool is still there.
Huh?
Your tool is still there.
Yeah. Cool.
Please look at you.
Maybe this does have 130,000 miles on it. Oh, that belt looks too new to be. Oh, maybe
It's
it
got
does.
cracks all over it
Yeah,
now.
but that's pretty normal.
Really?
When they start missing chunks. If it had 130,000 miles on it, it'd be missing chunks.
That's true.
That's how my grandma's car was. It was literally missing chunks out of it. And hers had 136,000 miles on it. So we got the motor down to a short block, and we found the issue. Connecting rod bearing is absolutely gone. You can see all the metal sludge on the windage tray. The pickup tube has tons of metal chunks in it. There's oil or metal sludge everywhere in this motor, which is pretty crazy. So now we're gonna start popping rods and pistons out. Take the oil pump out, pull the crank out, make sure the crank's okay. Check everything out. It's probably definitely gonna need a connecting rod, and the crankshaft's either going to have to be turned, replaced, or something like that. And then it is a split pin crankshaft. I thought this was not a split pin, but it is. Huh. But there's our knocking noise right there. Everything else seems pretty tight. So we're going to go through, pull everything apart. It's kind of cool. It's got a bed plate. So you got 4-bolt mains right here and on the side, which is really beefy. So we got 4 bolts up here and one's on the side to take off before you can pull these mains out. And yeah, everything's going pretty good. Just everything's super sludgy and dirty. We're gonna have to order lots of parts. Garage is looking like a mess. Camshafts are looking all right. I'm gonna try cleaning them up. We'll pull those guys out and try cleaning them up. We'll pull the heads all apart, valve springs, retainers, everything out of them. Clean the heads. We'll have to clean everything else. We're gonna go get a parts washer from Harbor Freight to start cleaning everything, because like everything just needs to be clean due to all the metal contamination inside this whole entire engine. Probably send the heads off to Jake, my buddy at Sampson Racing, to get the heads redone. After we get them apart, I'll inspect them and see what the valve seats look like for all that stuff. But he does a really good job, and he's pretty cheap, and I don't want to be taking this motor apart again because it burns a seat or something. So we're going to keep ripping and pull pistons, rods, oil pump, and crankshaft out of this short block now. Alright guys, so I'm going to teach you how to pull some rods and pistons out of a motor. So after you get to a short block like this, where it's just the crankshaft and connecting rods and pistons, the first thing you do is you break the connecting rod bolts loose. Just like that. And then these caps go on one way. Don't forget what way they go on, and they only go on one cap. They are one cap only. They only go in one spot, and that one spot only. And these bearings are pretty shot. Oh yeah, pretty trash. Alright. So then you just can push this guy down if you don't have a big carbon lip, which this does not. Push her down all the way. Oops. There you go. And just like that, rod and piston number 1's out. Holy crap. This thing is cute. There's a lot of scraping on the skirt too. I want to put some pistons. So then when you get this off, you see where these grooves are? Those line up. Just like that. The bearing grooves, you see the tangs, and the tangs right there. Those line up. And yeah. And then these are crack cap style, so it's really easy to tell which one they go in, because if you just hold them up, you can't feel the crack with your fingernail if it's in the right spot. If it's not in the right spot, you'll be able to feel this very easily with your fingernail. If you have some stubborn ones, just like this one, you can start threading the bolts in and then take a screwdriver or a hammer or something and just hit the heads like that, and then they'll come right apart. Really simple trick. And then you just push the piston and connector rod straight up the bottom. Just like that. So all the pistons and rods are out. Cylinder 4 was our problem child right here, where it just didn't have any bearing at all. It was literally just riding connecting rods straight on the crankshaft. And the cylinder walls are a little scratched up, scuffed up on each side. Crankshaft's definitely a little scored on each of them, especially cylinder 4. I don't know if you guys can see in there. Yeah, so I think a nice hone job, because you can't feel these scratches with your fingernails, but we're definitely going to have to replace all, at least this connecting rod, and I think all the pistons, because look at the skirt wear on these. And that is like all of them. And just look at this metal sludge. This is crazy. Like, look at it. It looks like someone took like powder. I don't even know. Like, look at this. This is crazy. Here's all your bearing material. That's crazy. I gotta wipe my finger. So yeah, so I'm gonna get a list going. We don't have the oil pump out of it yet, so I'm probably not gonna order parts yet. I don't have the special tool to pull the timing belt drive gear off. Then you get the oil pump off. Then we can pull the crankshaft out. And I don't have that tool right now, so I have to wait till tomorrow to grab it from my work. But other than that, it's not too bad. I'll probably start looking at prices for stuff. I know stuff's really cheap for this. And then I don't know if you saw on the oil pan, look at that, just more of that sludge. That's crazy. The metallic sludge. So it's definitely an oiling issue that killed this bearing on cylinder 4. We'll definitely have to look at the crank and the block, the mains and the oil galleries, make sure there's not something plugged on that cylinder 4 oil feed, because that is weird. That they are all pretty swept out though, because this is cylinder number 2 and that is straight bronze. So I'm gonna guess that this thing, he said that he had an oil changed and they double gasketed the filter and it ran out of oil. But my question is, why wouldn't you bring it back if that happened? So I don't know if this is just from lack of maintenance or what. Doesn't really matter. We're gonna be rebuilding it. So the nag we might go through too. Let me know if you guys want to see what the inside of a nag looks like. So I think we're gonna go through that, and then we'll just have like a brand new car on our hands. What else? Until we get that crankshaft out, we can't look at the main bearings because you have to pull the crankshaft. I mean, we could pull the connecting rod caps, but I think I'm gonna wait until I get that special tool because I want to check the oil pump out too, see how grooved the actual casing of the oil pump is, and just look at price on everything before I start ordering stuff for this motor. But the baby wagon's still going. We got it down to just a block and a crank, an oil pump, and we will have it farther apart and we will know what we need to order in the next video. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something today. I've never pulled a 3.5 apart. It reminds me a lot of a 2.4, a Chrysler 2.4 engine, just in a V6 form instead of a 4-cylinder form. The rods and pistons look like a 2.4 one. You can see how tiny these connecting rods are, because if you come look at my Viper connecting rods, how thick those guys are compared to these dinky little guys. And you should see the connecting rods that we put in the Viper. But just like the Viper, it's got tiny little pistons with like barely any metal. That's how you just break a piston. So I don't know if I want to even turbo this thing, because this thing does not look beefy at all. The lower end looks beefy. The connecting rods look weak. The pistons look weak, just like every kind of Chrysler product. It was not designed for boost, but I still want to boost it. So we're on the debate with that one. Comment down below if you guys think if we should boost it or not. The other issue too is not a lot of people are watching these videos, so I think we're just gonna stick to boosting the white Ram and not this, and just leave this all stock the way it is. Maybe long tube headers, I don't know. As always guys, keep it boosted. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!